are ready to launch your first or current book, but have absolutely no idea where to start. Or you've launched your book, but haven't seen the results you were hoping for. Or you are currently writing your book and want to be proactive in your launch planning, so also known as the teacher's pet. And in every case, you want to know how to confidently plan and execute a book launch that actually gets you real results. So what are you going to get out of this? You're spending an hour of your time today, so we want to ensure that you get a ton of value and not just a few quick tips that may or may not apply to your particular situation. So here's what's in it for you by taking the time to be here today. We'll take an in-depth look at the necessary elements required to pull off a successful book launch. You'll learn how revealing and understanding these secrets can give you a huge competitive edge and help build momentum for your current and future books. By the end of the webinar, you'll have the knowledge and the means to create a book launch action plan that gets real results, not only for established authors, but for new authors as well. And armed with this knowledge, you'll be able to keep fear and overwhelm from holding you back. So here's a quote from Henry Ford to keep in mind as we move through the material and you feel a little panic or self-doubt creeping in. Whether you think you can or think you can't, you're right. Now, some of you may know me, but just to give you a little more information about who it is you're sharing the hour with, I'll give you a bit more background on who I am and what I'm about. I'm Kimberly Gravis, and as Joel mentioned, I'm a Canadian writer, entrepreneur, and the founder of YourWriterPlatform.com. I help a growing international community of thousands of rising entrepreneurs build a business around their writing while increasing their visibility, influence, and reach. I work individually with writers across all genres, fiction and nonfiction, traditionally published, self-published, or not yet published, through my website, through coaching, and through one-on-one sessions. And I launched YourWriterPlatform.com in February of 2013, and it's become a go-to resource for authors struggling to gain visibility in a crowded market. So now that you now have a better idea of who I am, let's dive into what specifically we'll cover in today's training. So the purpose of a book launch and why it's important. Number 2, why most book launches fail and what you can do to avoid making these mistakes. Number 3, the 6 essential elements of a flawless book launch. And number 4, how you can develop your own customized step-by-step action plan for your next book launch. So let's look at the purpose of a book launch and a few reasons why a well-orchestrated launch is so important. If done well, a launch can create urgency, excitement, and unstoppable momentum for your book. It can also help you establish your brand, your message, and your presence on the web. A launch will build your business by increasing your email subscribers and social media followers. It will also expand your reach, network, and possible partnership opportunities with other authors, groups, and organizations. Many authors struggle to find ways to promote and market their work, but your book itself is your marketing tool. You can use it to leverage multiple opportunities like podcast and media interviews, especially during your launch. And without question, a book launch is a celebration. You deserve to highlight this amazing achievement. If you fail to reward yourself or acknowledge a significant milestone in your career as a writer, it can be very disheartening. And enthusiasm for your new book is contagious, so spread it around. Carefully preparing, timing, and executing just the right mix of launch activities to propel your new book out into the world is no simple task. And although it may be difficult to nail down the exact return on investment you can expect to receive from your book launch, the real value is the attention you generate and the subsequent platform you build from your launch success. Try and think of each launch like a step in a staircase, each consecutive one elevating your visibility, your influence, and your career one level higher. So if a launch is so important, why do so many fail? Well, a launch needs to pack a punch. It needs to build excitement and anticipation to a fever pitch, and on launch day, deliver on all the promises. And this doesn't happen by accident. Launches have a lot of moving parts, and they need to be carefully planned and orchestrated. One or two missteps and your launch will never get off the ground. And often, authors are so focused on writing and editing their new book to shine, they postpone the hard work of mapping out a launch strategy until way too late in the game, usually with extremely discouraging consequences. So let's quickly walk through some of the biggest culprits for book launch failures. Now, grab a pen and a notebook or follow along in the action guide provided, and we'll be moving pretty quickly through this section. So, number one, refusal to collaborate and socialize. One of the most important things you can do before launching your book, even before you start writing it, is to engage your potential readership in the development process. The more invested people are in you and your writing, the higher the value they'll place on your work because they help create it. Encouraging a social, community-oriented mindset builds trust and makes people feel that they are part of something special. Plus, their input will help you identify what matters most to them, the benefits they want your book to deliver, and even the launch strategies like message and channels that will ensure your book gets traction. Now, number two, rushing to get it out there. It is interesting that after spending months, sometimes years, writing your book, there comes a moment when a switch flips and getting your book into the hands of your readers becomes urgent. So sure, there should be an element of urgency or you'd never get the book to market, but rushing inevitably leads to poor planning and lack of preparation. Things are missed, deadlines pass, and an author's stress levels hit the ceiling. Instead, start your planning process early, ideally while you're still writing or editing. If you are self-publishing, give yourself a little extra wiggle room when you set your publication date. Have your author website or book landing page ready and functional. Make sure it's not only easy for people to buy your book, but easy for them to share the information with their friends. And remember to be aware of your time constraints as you plan. You won't become superhuman during your launch phase, so allow time in your scheduling and plans for other priorities in your life. Number three, forgetting to set specific or any goals or objectives. It's very difficult to determine whether you've reached your goals during your launch campaign if you've never outlined any goals or objectives to begin with. Taking action is fantastic, but you always need to have a direction or a destination in mind so that you can tell whether you've met or exceeded your expectations, or if you've slid completely off track. Be careful that the goals you set will actually help you achieve the results you desire. Specific goals like the number of books you'd like to sell on launch day, the number of people you'd like to add to your email list, or the number of people you want to attend your launch day webinar make it easier to determine if you were successful in achieving that goal. A goal like, I want to increase my authority, needs to be broken down into more precise objectives like, during my launch period, I will write 4 guest posts on influential sites in my genre, give 5 podcast or radio interviews on topics related to my book, interview 1 influential author or industry expert for my own author website, and create a free PDF guide on a compelling topic in my genre or related to my book. So keep in mind that this book and launch are also part of a bigger plan for your writing career. What do you want this launch to accomplish that will help with the next book and launch? Number 4, having no idea who you are trying to reach. This one can be, and often is, fatal. Not knowing or fully understanding your target audience or what they value can cripple your launch before it even has a chance to get off the ground. How do you hit a target you don't even see? Often authors will have no clue as to the intended audience for their book, which guarantees the launch campaign is unfocused, aimed at the wrong audience, or the message is too general or diffuse to be meaningful. When you're struggling to build a platform and a readership for your work, the thought of excluding or alienating anybody who might possibly be interested in your work, it's terrifying. You want more readers, not less, so why exclude anybody? But the reality is that the more specific you are about the people you are trying to reach, that is the people who will really get you in your book, the more appealing your offer and the more engaging your conversation with your ideal audience becomes. Now, number 5, being the lone wolf. It takes a village. I'm not sure if statistically speaking there actually are a larger number of introverted writers than extroverts, but the stereotype remains. Great writing happens in quiet seclusion. The muse arrives and the good stuff flows only when you've locked yourself in a room with the story as your only sustenance. But because writing is not thought of as a group sport, many soon-to-be authors have drawn the solitary act of writing their book into their promotional efforts as well. However, the most successful authors have used the power of the group to increase their sales. From box sets to multi-author buying events, they've leveraged their followings to cross-promote to their readers, multiplying their impact as a result. In fact, there are many benefits of author collaboration, like increasing visibility, pooling of resources, and opportunities for jointly created books and other creative projects. Reach out and start making connections early so that relationships have time to develop and clever ideas for joint ventures during your launch can be fleshed out. Now, number 6, lacking an understanding of your market. Don't look now, but your lack of market knowledge is showing. A lack of current market information makes it nearly impossible to make appropriate decisions on your launch action plan or any other marketing choices. You must use facts to make good decisions. You must be acutely aware of what other authors in your niche or genre are doing right and wrong, the changes, trends, and direction the market is moving in, as well as any holes where opportunity might exist. Tackling too broad a market is often a problem because once you look inside a big market, you'll find an incredible amount of diversity, different types of readers, different needs, and different pain points. To build a stronger launch plan and consume less resources in terms of time and money, you need to focus on building an insanely deep connection with a small group of people, rather than a hesitant and weak connection with many. Not only does what you learn from a hyper-focused market help you make smarter decisions about your book's potential in other markets, it reduces your risk of missing the mark on launch day. So do your research, get belly to belly with your ideal reader, gently stalk authors with comparable books, and keep abreast of the latest industry info and happenings. 7. Now, numbers looking for a shortcut or expecting a miracle. Striving for success without hard work is like trying to harvest where you haven't planted, by David Bly. There are some shortcuts you might look for, those that free up time, money, and allow you to grow your writing career, but most often these will come in the form of automation or systems. Other shortcuts, however, are just going to cause you problems. Be careful that your definition of a successful book launch isn't skewed. Expecting a bestseller or an instant hit, especially with your first book or with part-time effort, may not be realistic. Writers lose focus because they're looking for short-term gain instead of looking for long-term growth for their careers. So the first thing you have to accept is that you are building a business around your writing, and your priority should always be focused on results over the long term. There's no such thing as an overnight success. Stick with launch methods that you can expect real results from, not gimmicks or aggressive tactics that burn bridges. An effective book launch should give you a boost, but it should also tie into a long-term campaign that seeks to earn a living and a fan base over years, not weeks or months. Success is earned, and it's more often than not played over the long game. Now, number 8, assuming book launches are only for big-name authors or people with deep pockets. So that might work for author X, but it won't work for me. Get rid of the idea that you only have a specific set of skills and talents for specific tasks, or that there is some sort of exclusive club for successful authors that you are not a part of. A successful launch doesn't require heaps of cash, a huge network, or a secret handshake. If you have a well-planned launch with clear goals and objectives that you expect to achieve, your launch may be dramatically more effective and fruitful than a well-financed but unfocused one. Self-imposed limitations will only hold you back, so stretch your imagination instead of trying to justify why something won't work. Don't fail to step up to the plate or allow yourself to be held back by circumstance. When you're about to start making excuses for why your launch can't be as rewarding as the next author, just stop and reignite that spark that started you on this path in the first place. Number 9, enveloped in an author identity crisis. You have right now one of the most potent and persuasive means to make your book launch stand out. Do you know what it is? You. Self-knowledge is a very powerful tool, and knowing who you are, what you're about, and why you do what you do can provide a significant and compelling way to break through the noise. How you position and differentiate yourself and your readers and your book can make all the difference in swaying readers to buy. In fact, when you discover and build on what makes you different, you basically eliminate your competition. Who can be more you than you? So spend some time getting to know yourself and the reasons you write what you write. Use this insight to style your launch. Infuse your personality and your message into every piece of content you share, and your uniqueness will give you your competitive edge. Now, number 10, having no clue what to say. When I see authors struggling with this during their launch, I know they are also struggling with number 4, which was know your audience, and number 9, knowing yourself. When you can clearly articulate who you are and what you can bring to the table, as well as how that meets the needs, wants, and desires of your ideal reader, the conversation always flows. Think of it this way. Do you ever dread meeting up with a good friend for fear of not having anything to talk about? When speaking with someone about an interest you're both passionate about, does the conversation ever get stymied or awkward? No. When you have a deep understanding of a person or share a common interest, the interchanges are often deep and rewarding, and running out of time is more likely than running out of things to talk about. So if you shrink at the thought of being a smarmy salesperson shouting, "Buy my book," throughout your launch period, then take a step back and get to know your target audience better. What are they begging to hear from you? What do they want that only you can provide? If you're not sure, ask and listen carefully to what they tell you. Then plan launch content that addresses their biggest fears, hopes, and desires, and share it freely without expecting anything in return. When you build this foundation, people are often more than happy to support you when the time comes. Number 11, convinced it's not worth the effort or you've already missed the boat. To expect defeat is 9/10 of defeat itself, by Henry Mencken. Everything you've read about planning and executing a successful book launch has warned you that you should start early. But what if you already have your book in hand, or your release date is 2 weeks, 1 week, or 1 day from now? What do you do when there is no time to plan, or you've focused on writing and have no platform or fan base to speak of? Or perhaps what you've heard from those brave authors who've gone before you is that a book launch sounds good in theory, but inevitably ends up being a colossal waste of time, effort, and money, with little to show in the way of results. What then? Well, first, don't give up too quickly just because things get uncomfortable. Overcoming the challenges will bring you closer to your goals, so focus your efforts on what you can do. If your book is already out, leverage it to build your platform for your next book launch. There are many opportunities that arise for published authors, like speaking engagements, podcast interviews, local media spots, and other events, where having authored a book gives you the credibility and the qualifications to participate. So if you're self-publishing, consider moving the release date so that you can give yourself the time you need to make plans and build connections. You can also consider relaunching your book to give it a boost and build momentum for future projects. Your book is an asset, even without a big splashy launch. Just adjust your goals and expectations and keep moving forward. Okay, number 12, entertaining the belief that your genius should be obvious. Assuming your book will sell on its own merits without you having to lift a promotional finger will most likely lead to disappointment. Again, it's your responsibility to make it abundantly clear to your intended audience why your book is relevant. Nobody cares about you or your book as much as you do yet, so it's your job to help them see its value. No amount of literary genius will compensate for a book that goes unnoticed and unseen. In fact, if your book is that necessary, you are actually doing your readers a disservice by not making them aware of its existence. Accept that it is not someone else's responsibility to get your book into the hands of readers. Hold yourself accountable for your own career and develop a launch action plan that ensures your brilliance gets discovered. Number 13, failure to ride the wave. With all this effort and focus, time to peak on your launch date. Often a post-launch strategy gets ignored. It's tempting to take a much-needed break after all the excitement and hoopla, and you should take time to celebrate. You've just launched your book to the world, but having a plan in place to leverage your launch momentum, to follow up with new opportunities, and to analyze and measure the results of your launch is critical. Don't be tempted to pull back. Use the energy and buzz you've generated to open even more doors. Note what worked well, what didn't, and take the time to personally thank everyone who contributed to or supported your launch in some way. Their help was no doubt indispensable. And number 14, it's not the launch, but the book that fails. So we can't really complete a list of launch missteps without mentioning the obvious deal breaker. If your book is subpar, no amount of launch razzle-dazzle is going to help. If there are quality issues with your cover design, editing, layout, or even the story itself, you are much better off delaying your launch until you can deliver the highest quality book you can muster. Be careful not to get stuck perfecting your book. When the time is right, you still want to be able to pull the trigger. But a high-quality, professional debut will only work in your favor, with a well-planned launch helping take it to the next level. All right, so now that we've nailed down what not to do, let's look at those things that every successful launch has in common. These are the 6 essential elements of a flawless book launch, and we'll discuss each of these in greater detail in just a moment. So number 1, define your launch objectives. Number 2, get clear on your message and positioning. Number 3, take inventory. Number 4, make them an offer they can't refuse. Number 5, gather your A-team. And number 6, the launch plan. Now, what do you notice when you look at this list of launch to-dos? There's a bunch of steps to take before you tackle your launch plan, right? This is where many authors get messed up because they skip to step 6 in the process and then get completely overwhelmed. So I won't be able to see you, but if any of these hit home for you, raise your hand. You have lots of expectations, but no specific objectives for your launch. You're unclear about your signature story or message and how to articulate your difference from other authors in your genre. You have limited assets like an author website, email list, social media following, and so on. And what you do have are underused or undervalued. Even if you were offered an opportunity to speak or to share, you have no idea what to say. Or you miss opportunities to leverage the support of super fans and willing partners. Oops, sorry. Okay, and those authors who know to work through steps 1 through 5 first have an unfair advantage over those that don't. So let's go a bit deeper into each of these so that you can start applying this to your upcoming or future launches. All right, here we go. Number 1, define your launch objectives. It's impossible to define success without first defining what you want to achieve. Do you want to increase visibility and awareness, gain authority and increase influence, have a bestseller, grow your platform, or extend your reach? Try and take a step and get a bird's eye view of this book launch and its relation to your overall career path. Ask yourself, what does success look like for this launch? What do I want to accomplish? And how will I determine whether I've achieved what I set out to do? How will I track and measure my results? So for an example, although many authors may say their goal for their book launch is to sell lots of books, this isn't very useful. It's not measurable. How do you determine lots? Is it 100 books sold, 1,000, 10,000? And what is your real objective in selling lots of books? A livable income so you can quit your day job, to spread an idea, to help or entertain as many people as possible? Hopefully this won't be the only launch in your writing career, so consider each launch as a small piece in a bigger picture. Are your goals for this book launch in line with the goals you have for your overall writing career? Where do you see your writing career 5, 10 years from now? Work backwards from that point and loosely plan out a path to get there. One launch probably won't get you there, so leverage this and every launch to put you in a better position to reach your ultimate objective. Number 2, get clear on your message and positioning. The basis of this is what you want to say, who you want to say it to, and why they should care. So the first thing to tackle is mastering your message. When you connect to your purpose and can articulate clearly and succinctly what you have to offer, your ideal audience will respond. So focus on your strengths, passions, and goals. Discover who you are and what you want to do. Outline your unique areas of advantage or value and clarify what makes you and your work different. Any successful book launch needs to have a clear message that is consistently articulated. Your story is what people will connect with on an emotional level. One of the best strategies to quickly establish credibility, get known, and differentiate yourself is to share your why. So attach your launch to a bigger story and give people a reason to care. Shape your unique brand. Writers often balk at this idea of branding themselves or their work. It feels so corporate. But if done right, your author brand should extend naturally and organically from your message. It's how people will identify and relate to you, and it lets them know what they can expect from you and your work. Your brand stems from who you are, how you want to be known, and who people perceive you to be. So when crafting your unique author brand, carefully consider the following. What's your brand story? How do you want people to feel? Or what experience do you want to create for them? How do you want to be known? What words or ideas, concepts, and feelings do you want people to associate with you? What mood or immediate impression do you want to evoke? Now use what you've discovered about yourself to create an authentic brand personality. And know your audience. Now that you've identified and can express your special sauce and the why, it's much easier to identify the group of people who will be most receptive to your message. Who are you writing for? You can't develop a launch plan for an audience you've yet to identify. The deeper your understanding of your readers' fears, needs, and desires, the better. Where they are, what they need, and what they are searching for. Know both their demographic and psychographic information. That would be things like their personality, values, opinions, attitudes, interests, and lifestyle. Why they need your book, who influences them, what types of media they consume, and any other information that is relevant. And as you gather more and more information about your audience, be careful to stay connected to your reasons for sharing your work and focus on only those topics that are relevant to the community you are building. Don't try and win over those who are not already inclined to be receptive to your work. Uncover that group of potential readers who already speak your language. And do your research. Aside from taking the time to really get to know your readers, sometimes the best way to take your launch planning to the next level is by gaining a deep understanding of what other writers are doing well, what opportunities are being missed, and what your readers really crave. Much of what you need to know about your readers, the market, what works and what doesn't, it's already out there. You just need to know where to look and eliminate the noise and focus on those elements that can give you an edge. In most cases, your so-called competitors won't take the time to do this. So number 3 now, take inventory. After you are clear on what you want to accomplish in your book launch, it's time to take inventory of your launch assets. So your launch assets include things like your author website or blog, your email list, your social media followers, influencer and advocate lists, partnerships, video, audio, marketing materials, and any other assets you have at your disposal for your launch. And as I mentioned earlier, don't undervalue your assets. Even a small email list of 20 to 50 interested readers can yield big results when it comes to helping you get the word out about your book. And often, these early adopters turn out to be your biggest supporters. Leverage the tools available. Okay, so love it or hate it, technology has leveled the playing field, and authors are becoming more and more adept at using technology and tools to carry out the career author's to-do list, which includes many of the assets mentioned, like the blog, email list, and so on. But a critical factor that is often missed when striving to check all the boxes is this. It's not the tools, but the implementation that matters. You can have everything in place to launch your book, but still fail miserably. Why? Because a powerful launch is more than just the sum of its parts. If done right, there's a synergy between the tools you choose to use, how you implement them, and the intention behind it all. Now, number 4, make them an offer they can't refuse. To create stellar content that people will actually care about, you need to have a clear vision for why you are developing the content in the first place and an in-depth understanding of the people you wish to consume it. So, content strategy. A content strategy is your publishing plan, like a plan of action for what to create on your homepage, landing pages, sales pages, your book descriptions, blog posts, email, social media updates, and all that. It's how to create it, which might be guides, interviews, tutorials, infographics, curated content, videos, written articles, and so on. When to create it, so your launch publishing schedule or content calendar, and for whom to create it. That is your ideal reader. And the hard truth, people don't care about your book. They care about what your book will do for them. So focus on creating launch content that adds value, not pushes your book. So now it's time to gather your A-team. Hobnobbing and elbow rubbing are not the sort of activities that solitary creatives typically engage in willingly. But you must start building your network and influencer list. If you prefer to stay tucked safely behind your computer with a hot cup of tea and a decent supply of chocolate, we have some unsettling news. Avoiding networking will not only lessen it will not lessen its importance to your career. So you can't avoid it. Gone are the days of the lonely introverted writer. Connections are critical, and incorporating networking into your launch planning is a must. To survive, writers need to have a shift in mindset. The goal of networking is not to pitch an agent, hawk your book, or have someone you hardly know do you a favor. It's simply to have a conversation. Go into it with a what can I do for them approach rather than a what can they do for me. Networking feels icky and uncomfortable when you have a hidden agenda or you're not being authentic. So start building relationships now that will earn you goodwill before your launch date. Okay. Street Team and Superfans, your supporters and avid fans. Find your evangelists and give them extra special attention and care. Help them tell the story. Create resources, pre-written blog posts, images, videos, quotes, data, whatever you can to get your team excited. Create an insider's list and give them advanced review copies of your book. Get feedback on content and encourage them to get invested in your project. Build loyalty, trust, and a connection with your newly forming community and in all your interactions with them. Focus on creating a kinship of connected, interested, and highly engaged admirers. Then, when it comes to promote your new book, you'll have both devoted customers and an eager promotional team ready to spread the word. And finally, number 6, the launch plan. Your launch plan is your blueprint to your entire book launch. It combines the tasks involved and, more importantly, the sequence of events in your launch. Your launch plans should include the tools you'll use and implement it in the right way, the tasks you'll complete, and day-by-day plans for the release of content during your launch. There are so many details in a good launch that you need a script to follow. So the secret to pulling off a successful launch is to clarify what you need to do, when you need to do it, and how to get it all done. You'll need to focus on evergreen strategies like we've just discussed and not tricks and gimmicks. And ideally, you need a customizable launch plan that works specifically for this book, but uses the same principles that can be used, built upon, and customized for subsequent book launches as well. Feeling a little overwhelmed? Let's go back to why you registered for this training.
Okay. Thank you very much, Kim. That was great. I'm going to take over now, and I'm just going to index my slides to catch up with Kim in her presentation. And there we are. So, Kim wanted to talk about why you registered, and she had some various notes about maybe you wished you could launch your book in a way that would give you more momentum, and you know it's going to take some work. Hey, book launches are the most trying time when you're trying to publish books. There's no time that's more fraught with activity, anxiety, anticipation. Problem is, when you're new to this, you don't actually know where to start or what it's going to take. So it looks to me like you have 3 choices if you're in the position of thinking about book launches. If it's very overwhelming and you can't really figure all these pieces out, you could just skip it. You could just publish the book and without any launch activities at all. And listen, I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. For some people, that's about all they can manage. But if you want to really give your book the best shot at success, I think doing a book launch is a really good idea. Your second choice is you can try to work all this out, figure it out, hire people, do a lot of reading, surf the blogs. There's just a ton of stuff you could do, and I get that. A lot of people like to do stuff by themselves, but Kimberly and I and Tracy put our heads together because we thought there was a better way. Now, I've been publishing books since the 1980s. Yeah, that's a long time ago. And I've launched many books, and I've helped many authors launch their books. So we put our heads together because Kimberly is a real expert on how to build an author platform. And there's nothing that's going to be more important when it comes time to launch your book than the platform you've already built. And I want you to know that many times when I'm talking to authors about their plans or what they hope to achieve, I frequently advise them to put the book aside and build a platform first before they publish it. That's very tough for a lot of authors to hear, but I am dead serious. If you don't have a platform of some kind, then your book launch is going to be more difficult. Not impossible, but more difficult. So why not get some help? We put our heads together. We came up with this amazing product called the Book Launch Toolkit. I put in it everything I know about launching books, including training, worksheets, checklists, guides that will help guide you through this process. And trust me, there are people I know personally who've worked on book launches for 6 months or more. I mean, for instance, suppose if you wanted to do a guest posting strategy to spread your word about your new book launch, you could spend months just writing guest posts, getting ready for the launch and setting up your blog tour dates and all the other stuff that you're going to do. So we put all that into one place to solve this problem for authors. When we put it out, here's an example of the kind of feedback we got from somebody who is a real expert in publishing books, Sharon Goldinger. She called it a masterpiece of marketing advice. That was very nice of Sharon to say that. Here's some feedback from an author who's already worked with the Book Launch Toolkit. They say Joel and Kim have made launching your book very simple. Yeah, I don't know if it's very simple, but we have put all the tools in your hand. So what is in this Book Launch Toolkit? The most basic part of this product is a 100-page guide we put together between Kimberly and I. It has a complete guide in the front of the book on a step-by-step how to build an author platform. This is straight from Kimberly, who's an expert in this area. I invite you to check out her website. She's been writing and blogging about this for years. She's a real marketing expert. This section of the product alone would probably be worth the price of the entire product, but that's just where we started. We also have a complete guide to building your author platform, an overview of the launch process, a detailed timeline of the tasks in your book launch. That's very helpful because if you don't know you need to be doing something 12 weeks out and you miss the deadline, then you kind of have to drop that. The rest of the guide is devoted to 20 tools. We call them launch tools. You can see, maybe if you could read this slide, this is Tool 2, a review campaign and getting endorsements for your book. In this, we step through exactly what this tool is about, how it works, what it is that you have to gain from using it, and a step-by-step process of exactly how to do it, plus lots of resource links if that's useful for that tool. Now, you have to look at the Book Launch Toolkit kind of like a menu. You wouldn't walk into a restaurant and say, oh, this looks good, give me one of everything. No, you'd never be able to finish your meal. And same thing with the Book Launch Toolkit. Although I've put 20 different tools that you can do, nobody's going to do them all. The idea is to pick and choose what suits you the best and then put together your launch plan. Now, the 20 tools, I am not going to read this screen. I hate it when people read screens full of type like that. But you can see that we've got things like book trailers, blog tours, advertising, telesummits, just about every kind of tool that you can gather into your book launch is explained in a step-by-step way in the Book Launch Toolkit. And we also have provided you, because a lot of running a book launch is an organizational problem. You know, trying to keep track of all this stuff, when it's due, vendors, people who are helping you out, fans, your street team, it can be very mind-boggling. So what we did was we created a whole bunch of worksheets, which you can see listed on the right here, a guest posting campaign worksheet if you want to do that. And that's a very good thing to do for many authors. You can go around to other websites or blogs, give away books, do interviews. but you got to schedule that. So we've given you a worksheet to do your scheduling on, as well as all of these other worksheets. A worksheet for comparing comparable books. That's really important to know where your book's going to be positioned. Book launch ideas worksheet, contests and giveaways. This is a very, very complete product to help any indie author run a fantastic book launch. Martin Turnbull, who actually is a best-selling author, says, I only wish I had the book launch toolkit when he started. It's got every tool, idea, and angle you can use to get your book known in a crowded marketplace. This is from Kate Tilton, who runs Kate Tilton's Author Services. She works with authors all the time. And Kate says, this is more than a book. It walks you through each step. That's what I love about it. And it gives you all those organizational tools. We've also included a lean launch plan, and the reason I did this is because I know that many authors haven't yet built a platform. They don't have thousands of people on an email list or hundreds of blog readers that they can count on when it comes time to launch their book. So we did provide a whole plan for authors who haven't got there yet. If you've got no platform or community, there are several things you can do to get the word out without depending on a platform you don't have. There are actually 14 things you can do to launch your book listed in the Book Launch Toolkit that don't rely on you having an author platform. That's really good news because a lot of people want to publish now. They don't want to wait 6 months or a year while they build an audience. I get that. For instance, some of the things you can do is build a book landing page. You don't need a platform for that. You can run webinars and advertise them in social media and get people that way. You can use the book as your marketing tool by using it as a giveaway. And you can, depending on how you're doing with Amazon and how much you understand their search engine there, you can use Amazon as a tool to help you launch your book. Now, we put together this book launch toolkit, and when we were finished, we were pretty proud of what we'd done with it. And I want you to know that hundreds and hundreds of authors have bought this product and are using it to help launch their books. But we thought that we could actually offer more than just the basic package. So I described to you the standard edition of the Book Launch Toolkit. It's got the guide, all the worksheets, and the checklists, and that's the basic thing that you need to launch your book. Now, I know there are people who want more training. So this is always the case with our products. We try to offer it at a really reasonable price, and then for people who really want more, then we offer a Plus edition. In this case, what we've included in our Plus edition is everything that's in the Standard edition plus, and a little guide that I wrote about how to create your advanced review copies. You're going to use those in your book launch. There's an email list building guide from Kimberly, specifically oriented to authors. Plus we've got a query letter tutorial. The query letter tutorial is actually pretty powerful, and it came out of my self-publishing roadmap course. And it really helps you to get testimonials, to get blurbs, and to really sell your book. We've got 101 ways to build the writer platform of your dreams. That's from Kimberly. 14 ways to crash your book launch. You don't want that to happen. And also an interview about how to run a successful book launch party with an author, SG1. And that was done by Kimberly also. So this puts a huge amount of training materials in your hands, and they're all things that will help you make use of the Book Launch Toolkit. Okay. Here's all of the pieces in the Plus edition. I'm just going through these slides. You can see here we've got the query letter tutorial, the 101 ways to build the writer platform of your dreams, 14 ways to crash your book launch, and the interview with the author about running a book launch party. So those are all of the pieces in the Plus edition. Now, for some people, even that isn't enough. So what we did was we created another version. We call it the Strategy Edition. It's everything I just described in the Plus Edition. In addition to that, you can book a half-hour one-on-one consultation with Kimberly, and you can book another half-hour one-on-one consultation with me. I could talk to you about your book launch, your book design, your book cover, your blog, your marketing strategy, anything you want, and I know Kimberly is just as flexible. So that gives you an hour of one-on-one advice and consulting on your specific book and how to best approach your book launch or whatever else you'd like to ask me. I'm pretty open to that. Now, the fact of the matter is the Strategy Edition, because it contains this, these consulting appointments, we only have a limited availability. Once we fill up these slots, that's it. They're gone. So what is it going to cost? Now, we sell the Book Launch Toolkit off my authortoolkits.com website every day. It's actually a pretty popular product. It sells for $97. Now, I know there are products out there that people are selling about how to launch your book that cost $2,000. I know this because I know the people who offer them. Now, I'm not saying that isn't a great course or you can't learn a lot, but let's face it. I mean, if I'm an author who wants to launch a book, do I really want to spend $2,000 on learning how to launch the book? No, I don't think so, because that's going to take a long time to earn that $2,000 back. And I'm not saying that's a bad course. It's probably dynamite. But we thought it should be much more affordable. So we've priced the Book Launch Toolkit at $97. If you want the extra training, it's $157. And you can see here our Strategy Edition is $397. That's because it contains about $300 of consulting. However, because we're doing this webinar right now, we're going to put this out at a reduced price for the next few days. We're going to cut all the prices dramatically. So the Standard Edition, instead of $97 for all of that stuff, it's only $67 until Monday. The Plus Edition is $97, and I think that's probably the best value of all of the things we're offering, because the amount of training in this package is just phenomenal, and to get it for under $100 is pretty amazing. And then we've also cut the price of the Strategy Edition by $100 to $297. So this is a very powerful offer. I can't tell you, we put months and months into producing the Book Launch Toolkit, strategizing it, checking all the links, making sure we have the best practices, and I'm just astonished that we can offer that to you for $67. I think it's well worth the money. So just to review, the Standard Edition has that 103-page PDF with all the tools in it, the guides, the resource links. You're going to get 7 worksheets, and by the way, those will open in Word, they'll open in Excel, and we also have PDF versions if you want to print them out. So any way you want to use this material, we've got you covered. We've got 4 cheat sheets, and we also have an interactive launch plan. The interactive launch plan is really phenomenal. It allows you to create your own customized launch plan, and it will expand and collapse depending on the dates and the items you're picking for part of your launch. It's a very cool benefit. Not everybody's going to use it, but anybody who makes use of it is going to end up with a very neat and organized launch plan for their books. The Plus Edition, as I said, adds the how to create ARCs, email list building, my query letter tutorial, how to build a writer platform, how not to crash your book launch, and that great interview with author S.G. Wang. And of course, the Strategy Edition has all of that plus an hour's worth of one-on-one personalized consulting about your launch plan, building your platform, how to approach your community, or whatever else you want to talk about because you're in charge of the agenda. And we have bundles available. Here's another testimonial from Bobby Emil. There's a lot of information in this product. I love these testimonials. What I loved most about Bobby's was when she said before she got the book launch toolkit, she was very anxious about writing and launching her book, and now she can't wait. I love that. So here's the whole deal on one screen. The offer is going to expire Monday at midnight. We've got the standard edition of the book launch toolkit at $67, and I think we have the wrong URL here. We've got the Plus edition for $97 and the Strategy edition for $297. And I'm going to change that right now. Because this is
that's all their toolkits. I should have caught that, Joel. That's my fault. I'm sorry.
Because
chat box, just in case anybody needs it.
That's okay. I'm a very quick worker. I just changed it, see?
Oh, man.
This is because we started a new website and moved all our great author marketing products there, and that just happened about 6 months ago. So that's the offer. I think it's an amazing value. I think anybody who's thinking about launching a book, I mean, for $67 at the standard edition, to get all of this information in one place, you don't have to do any research. You don't have to spend hours surfing the web. You don't have to ask questions in somebody's blog comments to try and figure out what the heck is going on. You don't have to buy a lot of books. And I've got plenty of them on this whole process. Trust me, way more than $67 worth. You could just buy this. You could download it today and start using it. And trust me, even if you're not in your launch or planning your launch right now, there is so much book marketing information in here that everybody who buys it is going to profit from it. Now, I also want you to know that I guarantee everything I sell 100%. Anybody who buys this product, the Book Launch Toolkit, decides, hey, you know, this isn't really for me, no problem. We will refund your money within 30 days, no questions asked. That's just the only way I like to do business, because if you're not happy, I'm not happy. Now, don't go 31 days, because then I'm going to have a problem. But a month should be enough time to decide if this is really for you. People who really want to make an impact and leverage this product to its maximum, I highly recommend you look at the Plus edition. If you go over to authortoolkits.com/booklaunch, you will see the whole product described in great detail. You'll see all our testimonials from other authors who are already getting great results. Now I'm going to tell you the last story I have about this. And that is that a friend of mine who's a longtime literary agent actually got a copy of the Book Launch Toolkit. He was intrigued by it, so he bought it and downloaded it and looked through it. And the next day he got in touch with me and he said to me, Joel, this is the most amazing piece of book marketing I've seen in one place. He said, what I'd like to do is convert your Book Launch Toolkit into a product I could sell to literary agents all over the country, because they are all going to want to give it to their authors. Publishers these days rely so much on authors to do their own marketing. Now, sure, they're going to write a press release for you, and maybe they're going to do a little marketing. You're not going to get much more than that. There's nothing robust like all of the tools in the Book Launch Toolkit that they're going to offer you. You're going to be responsible for doing it yourself. I also get asked a lot about, could you use this for a book that's already out? Yeah, you bet you can. I'm in favor of the flexible book launch. When I launch a new book, I usually plan on marketing it for about a year. Although my official book launch is only going to last 4 to 6 weeks, my intent going into it is to continue that ongoing marketing for about a year. Let's face it, there's no reason to stop marketing your books, because when you market them, they sell. That's what happens. If you don't market them, they usually don't sell. So what I'd like to do now, because I don't want to keep people any longer than necessary, is see if we've got some questions.
I've answered all the current ones, but if any new ones pop in the box, we can read those.
Okay. All right, terrific. Well, I am happy to answer any questions. I'm going to put into the chat window an email address you can use. Tracy, I think the best email address is you want to put an email address in there for people who have questions?
Yeah, I can do that. And also, several people are asking, when does the cart close?
It closes at Monday at midnight. Today is Friday. You have today, Friday, you have Saturday, you have Sunday, you have all day Monday. I will mail you a reminder before we close just to make sure you didn't forget because you were having so much fun doing something else, because I don't want you to miss this opportunity if this is something that you think will be beneficial to you. It's packed with content, and I'm actually very proud of this product. It's one of the best things we've done, Tracy and I, over the last few years after we started with our templates. And it's one of our best sellers because so many authors want to get this information and not have to run all over the place trying to find out the stuff they need to know to launch their book. Okay, so the address is support@bookdesigntemplates.com. We will be able to answer any questions you have. And I do encourage you to go over to authortoolkits.com/book launch. You can see all the information on the product, all the worksheets explained, all the cheat sheets, all the testimonials will be there, the whole 9 yards. It's really a very cool product, and it's helping hundreds and hundreds of authors right now. So I'm very happy to be able to present it on a special promotion at a really aggressive price, and I hope that if this is something that interests you, that you learned something today, and that you'll take the opportunity over the next few days to save some of your hard-earned money during this promotion. The Book Launch Toolkit will still be available on Tuesday. It's just going to go right back to the regular price like it always does. So, Tracy, I want to thank you for all your terrific support. And I want to thank Kim for making that video so we could go on with the show even though she couldn't make it today. Thank you, Kim.
Yep.
And I want to thank everybody who sat in for the event to learn about book launches, why they fail, and how we can make them succeed. And go over and check out the Book Launch Toolkit. I think you'll like it. So once again, thank you, and I will see you next time.
Yep, thank you all, everybody. Have a good night.